Energy is a very interesting topic of conversation. If you look back maybe 100, 120 odd years ago, we were getting from A to B in steam trains and horse and cart. Steam was an amazing revelation. Electricity came on the scene and it was pioneering, I suppose, the ever-evolving world of energy as we know it today. I thought it would be interesting to speak to some people within the energy field, within different sectors, to break down the future of energy and to figure out what energy actually looks like on both a micro scale, being residential homes, community areas, things like that, right up to the macro scale when we're talking about energy conglomerates, energy suppliers, fuel sources, things like solar farms, wind farms, basically anything that combats what traditionally we would look at energy today as, basically coal and things like that. So I've done just that. I've gone out and I've spoken to a few different colleagues, a few different people that are in different areas of the energy field. And the reason I've done that is because I appreciate that so many of you guys are in pretty much every way related or have some sort of relationship with energy to a degree, whether you're a builder, whether you're an electrician, you might be a plumber or whatever it is. But it does kind of dictate the future of our trades. I mean, if you think of electricians, looking forward, there's this massive push now over the last 20 odd years towards solar. And so, that's been a big segue for a lot of electricians and, of course, then builders, because builders have to be the ones that build the houses that have the solar panels on them and all this kind of stuff. So it's really interesting, I think, when you look at the future of energy and where it's potentially heading, so we can, I suppose, maybe not foresee, but certainly take into consideration the fact that we are in an evolving space and there is a load of, energy sources out there that may not be mainstream yet, but potentially could well be. So this is a 3-part series, and in the first series, we're talking a lot on that macro scale. We're talking about energy from a grid perspective. In the second episode, we're talking about energy that's fueling communities, and specifically, we're talking about a lot of solar there. And then in the last episode, we're talking about the residential scale, so homes and those homes that would fit into the communities that would form part of the grid. So it's a pretty interesting topic. I'm sure you guys will get a lot out of it. And by all means, if you have any questions or if you've got any experiences with anything to do with these topics that we speak about, by all means, contribute. We'd love to have you part of the conversation. Head across to the Facebook community and you can join the conversation there, or better still, you can start the conversation. There's thousands and thousands of people in that group from all over the world, and everyone's got some amazing experience. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Anyway, that's enough from me. Let's jump in, enjoy this podcast, enjoy this series, and we look forward to hearing your feedback. It is with an insane amount of joy that I come to you today saying that this podcast is proudly brought to you by the Sightshed's Surf and Learn program. That's right, this year we are running our second Surf and Learn program over in the Maldives off the back of the hugely successful Surf and Learn 2018 program that we ran. It was so much fun, I cannot even begin to explain how cool these events are. We basically take a group of enthusiasts, if you will, across to the Maldives. We live on a luxury motor yacht for 10 days, and we basically live the high life. We surf, we eat like kings, we drink if that's your thing, you can fish, you can do whatever you want, you can go scuba diving, all that crazy stuff. And in the evenings, we do a business workshop. So it is a tax-deductible trip, and it is just the most amazing experience ever. Last year was mind-bogglingly good. Anyway, obviously, we're taking a boat, and boats have limited seats. So if you want to come to this event, you need to head across to the sightshed.com/events, click on the Surf and Learn 2019 link, and go to the landing page there where you can secure your spot, or you can find out more information about the event. These tickets will go quickly. There's a huge percentage of the guys that came last year want to come again, and for reasons which you will see on the landing page. It is absolutely fantastic. The direct landing page is the sightshed.com/surf2019 if you want to go straight there. It is just amazing, guys. I really hope to see you there. The content's brilliant. The networking's fantastic. The location and the experience is like nothing you will ever experience. I can tell you, it is just brilliant. Anyway, that's all from me. I hope to see you there and enjoy the podcast. One of the large changes that we've seen in the building and construction industry over the last few decades has been in the space of renewable and sustainable energy and solutions. Now, this may come in the form of installation procedure or perhaps products that have been used in the space of thermal capacity, like insulation in the walls and that kind of stuff. And commonly, you'll see very often around the world now as a large segue to renewable energy and harvesting energy through means of, say, solar electricity, wind farms, hydro, so on and so forth. This is the third episode in a three-part series that I've recorded, which I've called The Future of Energy. And this one is talking about the future of energy from a residential scale. Now, in the first episode, we were talking about energy from the supply chain, so more on a grid scale. In the second episode, we were talking about the future of energy from a community aspect, and specifically talking about some of these really cool initiatives that incorporate solar installations on a community scale, which can fuel and put electricity back into the grid for credits and that kind of thing. And in this episode here, we're talking more about the solar industry on a residential installation scale. So this is kind of speaking to you guys out there that might be builders, or perhaps you're electricians, or you might be solar specialists, or whatever. It's the final episode in this series. I've had a great time recording. I've been wanting to do this for years, actually, and I've finally got around to it by meeting the right people, and I think it's turned out fantastic. So, guys, I'd love to hear your feedback on this series. If you've got any comments that you'd like to share, then please go ahead and make those comments wherever you see this pop up on your social feed, or if you subscribe to our weekly site meeting, you can reply to the email there, and I'll be sure to get them answered for you. Likewise, if any of the guests that you've heard, either Andrew, Alex, or Joe, if you've got any specific questions for those guys, by all means, you can fire them back at me, and I'll either hit them up within the Facebook community, or I can ask them directly and perhaps get them back on the show to answer those questions for you. Anyway, guys, I suppose the bottom line here is this is there's an amazing area. It's an amazing area of development, the whole solar and the future of energy. And I think, over the last 20 years, we've certainly seen a lot of changes, but I think looking forward, we're going to be seeing a lot more. And so I encourage you guys, if you are in that space and you're looking to niche yourselves, then really do your homework and really start looking into where the future of that energy could be heading, because you might find that, if you play your cards right, you could well be one of the pioneers. Anyway, guys, I genuinely hope you enjoyed this. I had a great time recording it, as I said. And let's jump into the third episode of this series, The Future of Energy. This one is talking about energy on the residential scale.
Giving tradies and contractors around the globe the tools to run a modern business. You're listening to Toolbox Talks from the Site Shed. Now here's your host, Matt Jones.
So over the previous weeks, I have carried out a few podcasts in the area of energy. I spoke with a gentleman called Andrew, who was an energy trader at some point. So he had a really good understanding of the current energy model and the interest which is generating around the solar community, and how that's going to, at some point, if not replace, certainly come into play when it talks about energy on a macro scale. After him, I had a gentleman on the show called Alex, who was talking a little bit more about solar from a community perspective. Some of the initiatives that those guys work with involve, setting up entire communities with a solar infrastructure to firstly the community, but then also put that energy back into the grid for the benefit of the community. And today I have a gentleman on the show named Joe Edginton, and he is talking to us about the solar space from an installation perspective. So, Joe, welcome to the show.
G'day, Matt. How you doing?
Very well, Joe. We met at a event on the Northern Beaches a couple of weeks ago, and I loved hearing your story. It was fantastic. And as a result, I've asked you to come on the show to talk a little bit about your story and I suppose your journey from becoming a humble electrician to solarpreneur.
Solar coaster is definitely on, Matt.
Absolutely. Yeah, so it's been a really interesting couple of conversations that we've had already with these guys. Although they're, I suppose, a little bit more focused on the slightly broader realm when it comes to the solar landscape. So I'm really interested to hear about your experiences from somebody that's out there and doing this, to see how it relates a little bit more to firstly the homeowner, but then of course we have a large base of listeners that are builders, electricians, and that kind of thing. So I'm sure those guys are pretty interested to hear about how that landscape's going to be looking in coming years and where it's at right now. So thanks for your time.
Well, good. So you want to speak to somebody that's on the front line?
Well, yeah. I mean, I just kind of want to complete the circle, I suppose. We've spoken to the energy traders, I've spoken to the community scale guys, and now I wanted to speak to somebody who's in the trenches.
Yeah, that's right. Well, actually, you speak of commercial size or industrial size solar. Rooftop solar is actually, there's more rooftop solar energy out there than what there actually is in commercial or industrial size solar. So the rooftop guys, the guys that are putting it on residential and small commercial size, they have more capacity than the larger farms out there put together. And I think that's going to continue for the next 3 or 4 years anyway, and possibly the commercial industrial size, utility scale solar will take over eventually. But at the moment, we're winning.
Yeah. I suppose that's not really that surprising when you consider, from that industrial point of view, it really does come down to farms. Whereas, when somebody can go and stick solar panels on the roof of their house, then it makes it a lot easier to accomplish, doesn't it?
Absolutely. When you're putting the solar panels on your roof too, you're creating that independence from a network as well, and you're almost reducing the burden on that network as well.
Yeah.
As well as obviously, reducing your costs and improving the environment around you, Matt, too.
So, Joe, you're from Energy Culture. You're located here on the Northern Beaches as well, and you guys pretty much entirely work in that space these days, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. So we originally were electrical contractors, and then probably 7 years ago or so, I was always interested in renewables and sustainability. And about 7 or 8 years ago, maybe more, I looked at solar. Went and did a few courses. Went up to Brisbane, did a half-hour course or something like that with a TAFE. Something ridiculous. I think that course has been banned since then.
Not because of you, I hope.
No, because it was only about half an hour long.
Yeah. Joke. Don't get me started on that.
No, that's right. So I've just been following it, and the big explosion happened with solar. I was watching that from the sidelines, really thinking it was all down to the large businesses or the telesales people. And around about 2 or 3 years ago, I decided to join the solar coaster and get on board with it. And I have found out it is a solar coaster. It's a difficult industry to be in at the grassroots.
Yeah.
Not only battling, we are actually on the front line, believe it or not.
Yeah.
You're battling against government policy. You're trying to keep that flow of materials coming into you, as well as that the government, they've only got to say something and it makes the whole industry very unstable.
Yeah.
But looking at what Labour are doing now, they've now committed. Well, if they get in, one of their policies is to have 50% renewables by 2030, which is only 12 years away. So that would be a huge lift for all the guys out there doing solar, all the commercial, all the people looking for investments. Yep. So everybody throughout the whole board, and also looking at battery storage too. They're going to support that as well. So that's a growing industry too that will support prop up the solar industry too.
So you're an electrician, and then now you focus pretty much entirely on the solar space. I'm just curious, like that transition, was that a no-brainer for you, or did that take a bit of internal convincing?
Yeah, so we don't, just so you clear, we don't solely focus on solar.
Okay.
It's actually quite a difficult industry to just do that. We try and make it 50% of our business.
Okay, cool.
But alongside the other sustainable arm of our business too. So we look at how we can reduce energy in people's homes, look at how the waste we're taking out of people's homes is removed properly, and the product we're putting back in again is coming from a business that supports what we do too.
I know you spoke about that the other night, and I was really interested to hear about that. So, do you want to tell us a little bit more about that sustainability element towards your business? Because I believe that's won you some awards, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. So we were just awarded the Northern Beaches Council Sustainability Award. Last year was won by Four Pines and Ruby Lane, so larger businesses than us. Four Pines is a huge local business.
Or not anymore. They've just been acquired, I believe.
Yeah, $110 million they got for that. But they still have a say, supposedly, in what happens.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's not going to change, apparently. Unlike the other ones, that James Squires, whatever it was, that changed. Yeah, sustainability. So when we actually created Energy Culture, we spent a lot of time thinking about what was important. Well, first of all, to me, but also what's important, what's going to help out. So my kids are growing up, they're going to grow in a world that possibly is going to be different to the one I've grown up, not because of technology or because of like trends or generation gaps, but because of an environmental change that they're probably going to inherit. So for me, if I was going to make money out of my business or have an income or get something out of a business, I really have to put something back into the community and the environment and reduce my negative impacts with the world around me. So sustainability was a huge part of our business, and it's just growing and growing and growing. And we're meeting more and more people and bringing more and more people into our network that are like-minded in sustainability.
So for an electrician, what does that mean?
Yeah, good question. I've come from a background of tradesmen. My dad was a roofer. My grandpa's a roofer. Thatchers, shearers, all sorts of stuff. Right? So sustainability to them is just how they lived. We come from the country. They live like that. They ate everything. They used everything. They never threw anything. Right. So what we try to do with sustainability in our business is reduce the negative impact of what we do. So if we're removing downlights from a property, we will recycle as much of that product as we can by taking the fluorescents to a good company called Lamp Recyclers. You do pay a fee, but they do they remove all the phosphates and heavy metals, etc., out of fluorescent lamps and LED lights as well, and the halogen lamps. They recycle the material out of there, so it stops that going into landfill and then ended up in our water table.
Yeah.
We look at the product as well behind what we're using. Say, for instance, we use LG panels. Now, LG have a very high sustainability rating according to the CSR website. So that's a website you can look at, and it gives you a rating of large corporates or companies. So you can go there. You have a product you have in mind. Could be anything. For us, it's LG panels. And you will see the sustainability rating. Then you can rate that against other businesses or corporates out there. Okay. And then you're only going to choose, if you're sustainably minded, you're going to choose the one that is having the best score, essentially. Mm-hmm. And you can maybe offset some of the ones that aren't having such a good score. And what that does is that's buyer power. That's us saying, well, if I want to buy that product as an electrician to give to my customers, I want to make sure that product has the same value as what I do. And that product is looking at how they are treating their waste or what they're doing with their end product or what they're doing with their community around them. And the more and more people we can just get thinking like that, then we create a better community, create a better environment,
So I did want to ask you about that actually, because I was listening to a TED talk recently about solar and pros and cons, and one of the things that came up was the carbon footprint that's involved in producing the materials to create solar products. And from a sustainability perspective, obviously, I'm sure that's something that you've considered. So I was wondering, what the position is there, and I don't know. The talk was talking about, I suppose, the fact that a lot of the products aren't recyclable at the end of the day, and they have to be thrown away, or they have to be taken to landfill or whatever it might be because they don't recycle.
Solar panels, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes up a lot, really. When you look at the alternative, about 1 million times better anyway.
Right.
You look at the problem of coal or oil, and you go, well, There's a huge issue there anyway. The actual terminology has just slipped my mind, but it is one of the reasons we use LG. Again, they have an energy buyback of around about 12 months, possibly 18 months. So that means within 18 months of use, the energy that went into making that product has been recaptured through the nature of the product being out there.
Okay.
So you've got to remember with solar and renewable energies, you're fighting against a coal industry that is dying out. So only this week I saw a report that large scale solar is now half the price of coal energy. So for every 1 kilowatt, you're paying half the costs of a solar kilowatt of energy as opposed to a coal kilowatt of energy.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely winning the war out there. It's good.
We interrupt this podcast today to talk to you very quickly about Tradie Web Guy's content creation program. That program has been designed specifically for trade-based organizations as a way that you guys as trade business owners can start creating content that enables you to engage better with your customers and your potential customers. It will enable you to build trust and build rapport because what you're doing is you're investing in educating them. Biggest problem that we see with our customers today is that they're not regularly updating their websites. And that's a problem because first of all, the search engines are looking for that. And second of all, potential customers are also looking for it. Tradie Web Guy's content creation program has been specifically designed to help you get regular, relevant content on your website consistently every month. We know that it's hard when you're out there on the tools, and we know that sometimes you don't always have the time to be able to do these things yourself. So we're taking it off your hands for you. It's a service that we're offering for you guys. We want to make sure that you're getting this done because we know how important it is. Anyway, head across to tradiewebguys.com.au/content, fill in the form, and one of our representatives will come back to you. So you touched on it a little bit before with the government policies, the funding, government rebates and that kind of stuff. And I know when the solar space kicked off and you were saying you were viewing from the sideline like a lot of us, there's a bit of hype around the rebates, and then the government pulled the rebates from it and sort of solar fell over and now it's back on again. And I just wanted to, I suppose, like from a buyer's perspective, what are some of the cost advantages, that are subsidised by government? Yeah,
so the only subsidy that's there at the moment is called the STC, or the Small Scale Technology Credit.
Yeah.
And on a larger scale, there are larger technology credits essentially. What that means is that for every unit of CO2 that panel stops from being emitted, that can be purchased from a larger emitter, say a smelting plant way out west somewhere, for instance. They can buy those units that are being traded on a market. So when we install solar, panel goes down there, we do all the paperwork, we take all the photographs, submit the paperwork, we sell those units into that share market, then that gets bought by somebody else. That brings down the cost of that system generally by about 30%. Somewhere around there. So the end user, they will just see a figure generally, but that's been reduced by the trading of the STCs. And with the STCs, it slowly, the cost of the STCs is slowly coming down, but so is the actual cost of solar too.
Right.
So the product itself. So the more large scale solar goes in, the cheaper that system becomes, the less we have to rely on STCs essentially. And at some stage, solar will just hold its own anyway, and you'll just be buying a system for the cost of the system and the installation as well.
I know you mentioned the other night there was 3 different types of solar systems. For the listeners out there, do you want to just give us a recap on what they are and what the difference is?
Yeah, so you start off with your DC system, a DC string system. It's an older style of installation, still very good at doing what it does. Less problematic parts in there. If you don't have any shading or any problems, then there's nothing wrong with having a standard string DC system.
Okay.
The second one you have is still a DC system, but it's an optimized system. So that each panel essentially can be, it doesn't work individually, but each panel, if there's any shading on there, will mitigate a problem. So that panel will remove itself from that string.
Right.
There. So let me go back to that initial one there. On a string system, if one panel is shaded, it will affect the whole string. You might have 13 panels in one string, and if that one panel is shaded and it's only producing so much energy, it will bring all the other panels down to that energy output.
Yeah.
When we put optimizers on there, the optimizer will essentially bypass that panel so that the rest of the string is all working properly.
Like a manifold kind of.
Kind of.
Yeah.
So that's your two DC systems. And the last one is probably the newer of the lot is the AC micro systems, which is the only product out there is Enphase at the moment that does them, and they're just they're sort of getting better and better at doing what they're doing. They're keeping up with the module sizes. Like the panel sizes are actually, the wattage sizes are growing. The efficiency is slowly creeping up just through their technology. So Enphase are an AC system. What they will actually do is make each individual panel work as its own individual system, essentially.
Okay.
Collectively draw the energy down there and send it off to your network. The AC system is essentially a lot safer because we don't have to have DC isolators on rooftops. They're a bit of a problem in the industry at the moment. They do collect water through condensation, and water and DC electricity don't work too well. So unfortunately,
yeah.
But yeah, so AC are the safer, I would say, of the three. DC string are the cheaper and more simplistic, and the DC optimizers are there if you want to use a string system but have a shading issue or a few orientations throughout the house.
So as somebody that installs these systems, is it your responsibility to, I suppose, consult with the client to ascertain what the right product is for their installation?
Yes, yeah. So we try to keep it simple though, because we live in an urban environment where we've got shading, we've got houses, we've got people living in valleys with trees around them and all this sort of stuff. So we do tend now to go towards an AC system. Yeah. It's a better setup. People have smaller roof spaces with multiple angles. You can get the panels on there or in different orientations. With a string system too, you can generally have up to 2 orientations on your roof, so east or west or north or west or west and east on your string system. With the AC system, you can go multiple orientations if you want to.
Okay.
But you'd only ever go 3. You wouldn't go 4 because it's south, and that wouldn't be very good.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that was actually interesting because I know one of the gentlemen the other night mentioned that my understanding was solar panels should always face north, but then he was saying that a lot of properties will put them west facing to take all the afternoon sun. Yeah,
the difference is minimal, really. West and east, they're similar. Okay. North is obviously better. You do get a better production, but it's not something that you would you just wouldn't have solar if you couldn't get it on a north facing roof. You just don't need to do that.
So do you, Joe, deal a lot with, tell me about some of the conversations, I suppose, that people have when they come to you in regards to, the cost of installing the systems versus, what it could potentially save them over the course of, 2, 3, 4, 5 years or whatever.
Yeah, so we tend to get two types of people really looking at solar. You're obviously coming from it as a cost saving benefit, or you're coming from it as a sustainable benefit, which we're seeing more and more people are coming from both angles. They're looking, they want to save money, but they also want to do the right thing by the environment. So the general payback of the system itself is around 4 to 5 years. With a good monitoring unit, you can probably bring that down a little bit, but generally say 4 or 5 years. And the actual the levelized cost of electricity from solar is around 5 cents per kilowatt hour. What we see when we put our program together, we do our designs, and we then see roughly around 5 cents per kilowatt hour of solar electricity. And you've bought that solar electricity, so LG the LG panel has a 25-year warranty. If you're using a string system on an LG panel, that they are warranted for 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
So you've bought that energy essentially for 25 years. You will have to replace an inverter. They last around 10 years or so.
Yeah.
But in 10 years' time, you can ask somebody how much an inverter cost 10 years ago and the size of it, and you think about what an inverter is going to be worth in 10 years' time. It's going to be very minimal. The cost is going to be nothing.
Right.
So you bought that energy for 25 years. It's a big wad of cash you're putting in your pocket. It's a huge investment. That essentially a system, a 5 kilowatt system, is going to be around $10,000.
Yeah.
That there will give you a return on investment of around 16%. So putting that money down for that 25 years, putting that money down initially on that solar and having that return of 16%, you won't see anything else like it. You can't go to a bank and go, look, there's 10,000, give me 16%. They'll just tell you, get out the door. Or there's just nothing else you can do with your money that's going to return your money, your investment that quickly, and with that percentage mark as well.
So the other night, I know we were talking, the topic of battery storage came up, and I know there's been a lot of movement in that space with, the Tesla home batteries, and I'm sure there's other home battery systems.
LG.
LG. Okay. So I'm curious. I mean, it's obviously quite early in the stage of battery systems, and I know the gentleman that was speaking the other night was saying it's not necessarily at a point where it's really designed for homes that have access to the grid. Is that going to change?
Look, we're putting batteries in. When they say they're not really designed for the planet, batteries are, like, for me, I think batteries are a great idea.
Yeah.
Financially, if you look at, there are people out there that are just going to want to have technology. This is, like, for them, it's great. They're going to put this battery in. It's going to remove them. It's not removing completely from a network, but they're going to be looking at a bill that was, 30 kilowatt hours a day, reduced to almost down to nothing. That's with solar and battery, essentially.
Yeah.
So for those that can afford to do that, it's great. It's cool. It's the new thing.
Yeah.
But financially, for the average person out there, or somebody that doesn't want, the new thing out there, the early adopter mentality, it's probably not the right thing to do right now, because the battery will only last around 10 years anyway, at a pace, probably less than that. They will take around 8 years to pay themselves off.
Yeah.
So essentially, batteries are awesome. And it's just started. You think about your computer, where
Exactly.
that was 6 years ago. And so you think, this is the awesome thing. We've been through technology now. We know, so we can see, in 10 or 15 years' time, what's it going to be like out there? It's going to be it's going to be amazing. We've been through it. We've seen it. We've now got the iPhones, all this sort of stuff. So the next 15 years or 10 years or whatever for technology, including batteries, is going to be awesome. Just at the moment.
So it's kind of the impression I got. It was a little bit prototypey at this point, but looking forward, it'll be formidable.
Yeah, it's just the cost of them. So it's a new industry. It's like anything, when anything's new, it costs a lot of money, because the structures aren't in place there to make it efficient to bring this product to market. But the more and more utility scale type batteries that are going in, like Tesla are doing a great job of promoting batteries for the home, essentially.
Yeah.
So the more and more that happens, the cheaper that product gets. I think there's actually a place over in Western Australia that is trying to get funding to create essentially the next, it'll be the lithium valley. So that'll be almost an area where they'll be mining lithium, creating batteries, and the new technology will be forming over there. That's in Western Australia. So the Silicon Valley of Australia, over in WA.
Yeah.
Get your boots on.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I know as it becomes more and more popular, that it sort of resorts back to that, the whole carbon footprint topic, doesn't it? You effectively got to mine for the lithium and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, so that is a problem, essentially, with lithium. But like anything, it's an issue to start with. Early days for everything. So you never know, lithium could even be superseded. There's so many other technologies coming out. I think zinc bromide, like the Z cell stuff. There's just so many different things happening out there.
Right.
Lithium's just the forefront at the moment. Like, if you think 10 years ago, like fluorescent lighting was, the rage, and it's gone. disappeared, like superseded by LED. So just keep an eye on it, keep watching it. Just also actually, right, so you can, just so you know, having a battery on your home doesn't make you any more, it doesn't improve your carbon footprint, doesn't make you any more sustainable.
Right.
It's actual energy, so you're matching from your usage in the home to the solar you put on the roof. So if you've got 10 units, or so let's say, for instance, the average home is like 20 kilowatt hours a day of usage, and you can match your usage with solar with 20 kilowatt hours a day of solar, you have you've neutralized the emissions from your energy essentially.
Right.
Balance your home out. You're not carbon neutral just yet, because you might have gas or these other things, you might have whatever,
right.
Your car or something like that. But you match your energy with solar, and that way, even if you're not using it, the CO2 savings are still there, and somebody else is benefiting from it. So you're being awesome.
So with the battery system set up, so currently without a battery, if you've got solar panels on the roof, they harvest the energy, they harvest sunlight, they transform it into energy. And does that energy then does that feed the home? So you effectively, if you're using an air conditioner all day, it will charge that air conditioner, or does it go into the grid?
Yeah, so the energy you're using in the home, when that solar is connected, through net metering, you will be utilizing that solar.
Okay.
So if you're producing, let's say you're producing 3 kilowatt hours a day of solar energy, you're only using 2. 2's going to the home at that time, and then 1 is going off to the network.
Okay.
Again, we put in very good monitoring units, so we can see exactly what's happening in homes. We can see abnormalities as well. We can even see if somebody's got a leaking hot water because their energy use from their hot water is erratic, or it's going on for too long.
Okay.
So there's really cool things we can do with stuff like that.
And so is that like a networking infrastructure that you as the contractor would install throughout the home, would connect it to the various appliances?
We do it at the switchboard level, really.
Okay.
And you're seeing that more and more, like good systems will have good monitoring on there. It saves the customer money. It helps us also be able to help people remotely. And
right.
You can tailor, an energy plan to them that is personal to them too. We can get things set up. We can cut things down just from the app on the phone. Yeah. So all those things kind of critical really to making solar work for the home. Speaking to some of the inverter manufacturers like Selectronic down in Melbourne, they kind of see it as, at some point, your inverters are going to be able to speak to your appliances through either Bluetooth or through a network in the home.
Yeah.
Inverters will be able to understand how much energy you need for your appliances. They'll be able to understand what the weather patterns are. We can already do that through our monitoring units called solar analytics monitoring units. So they understand weather patterns essentially and stuff like that. So the smart home of energy essentially is coming together.
Is it all kind of tying into that whole automation space, which is kind of a different conversation, but I suppose it's relevant to a degree? Yeah,
that's exactly right. So the inverters, battery inverters, or the PV inverters, or the hybrid inverters, whatever it is you're using there, at some point are going to be able to communicate again, with those appliances. And whether they're using the smart home technology or whether they're using their own Bluetooth technology, I don't know. But you'd think at some stage those things would form. The only thing that holds us back in Australia is we have, we're limited by 24 million people. There's a very small number of people here. You go to Europe and you've got 350 million people. You go to America, you've got, another 300 and 400 million people again. You go to Asia and just got hundreds of thousands more than what we got here. So that is the only limiting factor with technology in Australia. It's just the amount of people we have here, and we're such a long way away. We tend to get technology a lot later, but it's definitely happening. We have more solar here than I think than most places in the world. We have the room for growth as well with solar too. We have plenty of sun.
Yeah. That's great. I mean, as a former plumber myself, I just feel like there's never been a better time to be a Sparky.
That's right. Look, if you're in the right space as well, like for me, I enjoy what I'm doing. I like it's hard work trying to get a solar business going. You've got a lot of noise out there. You've got a lot of sales companies that are going to try and sell you cheap solar and going to put contractors out there that you'll never ever speak to again. Or you're going to go to a large company and they're going to put you on a contract, or they're going to send another contractor that they'll never speak to. Or you have a system that's put in and that doesn't get hooked up for 6 months or something like that.
Right.
So it is very difficult just getting the ball rolling, but we're starting to see that momentum now. We've got a really good name out there. We're a trusted brand out on the northern beaches, and we're getting referrals back to. So the ball's definitely starting to roll for us, and and hopefully smooth things out a little bit. We're ironing a few things out, and
So before we wrap up here, what's maybe some advice that you could, first of all, give to somebody that's considering solar installation on their home, and second of all, any of the Sparkies out there that are considering investigating the whole solar space and, helping you, I suppose, grow that industry so that it does become more and more well known?
Sure. I'll just go to the Sparky first off, and I'd ask him to question his mentality. No, but honestly, it is tough work. It is a tough game. Like, not just making sure you're making money out there, but it's totally different to sparking. You've got STC prices can drop by $5 or something like that. So there's $1,000 of your money just gone. You're waiting on deliveries coming from Melbourne. They might not be in stock for another 2 months, and you got to wait for a certain size inverters to come through. You're battling against the coal industry, government policy. So if I could say one thing, is just make sure you're clear about your mission of what it is you want to achieve out of having a solar business. Because if it's just there to make money, then chances are it's not going to be too much of a great outcome for you straight away.
I mean, I would go as far to say that's pretty good advice for anyone in business, to be honest.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. But just particularly with solar, I think what people do is see solar as this growing industry. Like, right, get on the bandwagon, or whatever it is they decide to do. You might not be on the bandwagon; they just want to be part of the movement. Like most people that are involved in solar at the grassroots level, like are involved because they want to see this movement grow. They want to see they want to have like their own energy. They want to make sure that their energy is not impacting, negatively impacting the environment out there. For the homeowner, why should they get involved? Why should they have solar? For two reasons. First of all, you're getting the cost of electricity you're going to reduce from nearly 33 cents on average down to 5 cents per kilowatt hour from your solar energy. That's a huge difference. And you bought that energy there for 25 years. You never have to replace energy. If you match your energy now, that stuff's going to sit on your roof, generating energy for the next 25 years. So you never have to change that. And secondly, you're part of a cultural shift in energy distribution. We're really moving away from a network we've known for a long time of coal generating energy, delivering it to us. We're now part of a system where we're going to be generating that energy and passing it on to your neighbor or the guy across the street, and then you're going to get paid for that at some point. Mm-hmm. That's a peer-to-peer retailing on microgrids as well. That's another thing that's happening out there. So there's also the sustainability factor as well.
Yeah,
most people now that are putting solar on the roof, they have a family. They understand the problems that we're facing. You can see it now. We've got huge droughts we're going through. Dust storms again coming through Sydney because they've got no water out of Berkeley. Record temperatures, and then you get huge snowfalls that just come out in the middle of nowhere. Bushfire season started in September. It's just everything's creeping forward. 40-degree temperatures in the start of November, like in Sydney. It's just that sort of stuff that you can't ignore it anymore, no matter what the government is saying. So those three things are key, but the sustainability and being part of that change, that positive change is for me very important, and hopefully for most of the people that put that solar in, it's a little tick. It's a feel good factor too.
So Joe, before we wrap up, what does the future look like for energy culture, and what's got you excited?
Yeah, the future's looking good. We're just meeting more and more people in our space. What's exciting? Everything we're doing is good. Like everybody we meet, we get a good feedback about what we're doing. I think because I'm kind of pretty high energy type of person, I like what I'm doing, and that might make people feel good about it. I don't know. What's exciting? The peer-to-peer retailing is going to be cool. They've trialed that down in South Australia. Solar Analytics again have trialed that over in Hawaii. And what that means essentially is that you can generate the energy in your home and you can on-sell that to your neighbor if you're not using that, and you'll get an escalated cost for that as well. Like you get a proper feed-in tariff for that rather than your 12 cents at the moment. You get up to whatever it is they deem that, but probably somewhere around the 25 cents or 20 cents, depending on how much energy is worth at that time. So that's a very exciting space. And also the automated home as well. Solar automated, running your dishwasher when it needs to, or your washing machine, or letting the pools pump when it's the right time to do all that too. So it's all exciting. It's all exciting.
Brilliant.
And the cost of solar's coming down too.
Yeah, of course. Well, from a product perspective, yeah? Yeah,
that's right. So the cost of solar, like as I said, the levelized cost of solar as well is half the price of coal as energy, but also the product price. Yeah, the product itself for the homeowner is coming down. You're getting more efficient, say, panels. Incrementally, the technology they're putting into them panels is getting more energy out of there. So what that means is our panels are kind of getting smaller for the amount of energy. So at some point, hopefully, we won't have to put as many on the roof,
right?
Because it gets hot up there. You don't want to put it there for too long. So that's another exciting. It's all exciting, mate. It's all good.
Well, mate, thanks very much for your time. You've completed the circle from my end, from the solar little solar series that I put together there. So thank you for that. And it's been it's very interesting to hear, I suppose, how this area of solar looks from the perspective of somebody that's actually out there in the trenches. So thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Matt. I just wanted to say another thank you to all the solar cutters out there doing their thing, burning away in the sun, cutting the groove.
And Joe, before we sign out, where can people get hold of you?
So you can go to www.energyculture.com.au. Our landline number is 0299497552. Find us on Facebook, True Local, on Google. We're everywhere. On Northern Beaches. So look out for us.
Brilliant. That's great. And guys, look, if you have any questions or if you wanted anything answered or clarified on, by all means, just post those comments wherever you see this podcast across social media or in the newsletter or on the blog page itself, across at thesiteshed.com, and I will endeavour to get Joe back on to answer them for you. So thanks again, mate. And that is a wrap. Thank you for listening to another episode of Toolbox Talks. If you're liking what you hear, then you can head across to thesiteshed.com, where you can join our community by signing up to our Toolbox Talks. You'll get sent a weekly notification, which is basically a highlight of everything that we've spoken about during that week, along with any other industry news that may be relevant or specific to the trades. If you're enjoying the show, you can head across to iTunes, Stitcher, or SoundCloud, where you can leave us a review. That would be fantastic, and all the reviews get read out in the show. Likewise, if you have any friends or colleagues that you think would benefit from this show and the episodes that we create, then please go ahead and share it with them.